Her fingers had stopped shaking 20 minutes ago. That was the dangerous part. 6-year-old Lily Parker pressed her body against the frozen dumpster, her lips blue, her breath coming in shallow gasps that barely made clouds anymore. She had asked 4 people for help tonight. 4 adults who looked at a freezing child and walked away. Now she was counting her own heartbeats because she had nothing else left to count. Somewhere on the highway, a motorcycle engine growled through the darkness. The rider wasn't supposed to stop here. He wasn't supposed to find her. But what 180 Hell's Angels did after he carried her dying body through those doors would prove that sometimes salvation rides on 2 wheels and wears leather. Subscribe now if you believe invisible children deserve to be seen. Comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. And stay until the end, because what they found in that basement will haunt you forever. Stone McAllister pulled into the Blue Ridge Travel Plaza at 2:47 in the morning because his gas gauge had dropped to empty and his body had dropped past tired 3 hours ago. 58 years old. Former firefighter. Widowed 12 years. He had buried his daughter after a drunk driver crossed the center line, and he had spent every year since then trying to outrun a grief that never got smaller, only quieter. Tonight was supposed to be simple. Fill the tank. Grab coffee. Keep moving. He swung off his Harley and stretched his back, feeling the cold snap against his leather jacket. December in Montana meant business. The wind cut through everything, and the darkness pressed down like a weight. Stone walked toward the pump's boots, crunching on frozen gravel. That was when he heard it. A scratching sound. Faint. Rhythmic. Like fingernails dragging against plastic. He stopped. The sound came again. Tap. Tap. Pause. Tap. Tap. Pause. Stone turned his head, tracking it. The noise drifted from behind the building somewhere near the dumpsters and the old ice machine that hummed louder than it should. His instincts fired before his brain caught up. 23 years as a firefighter had taught him one thing above everything else. When something sounds wrong, you check. You don't assume someone else will. You don't tell yourself it's probably nothing. You check. Stone moved around the corner of the building, his eyes adjusting to the deeper shadow where the parking lot lights didn't reach. He saw the ice machine first. Rusted at the edges, humming that low mechanical drone. Then he saw the dumpster. Then he saw her. A small body wedged into the gap between metal and concrete. A garbage bag fashioned into something like a coat, torn and flapping in the wind. Hair matted against a pale forehead. Lips that had turned a color Stone recognized from too many emergency calls. Blue. The blue that meant the body was losing its fight. The girl couldn't have been more than 6 years old. Stone dropped to his knees beside her, his heart hammering. "Hey," he said, keeping his voice low and steady. "Hey, sweetheart. Can you hear me?" The girl's eyes cracked open, brown eyes glassy and unfocused, swimming with exhaustion and something worse. Fear. Her mouth moved, but the cold had stolen most of her voice. Stone leaned closer. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lily," she whispered. The word came out broken, fragmented by shivers that racked her tiny frame. "Okay, Lily. I'm Stone. I'm going to help you." He started to reach for her, to lift her, to get her somewhere warm. Lily's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "No," she breathed. "Don't call her. Please. Don't call Aunt Dana." Stone froze. "Who's Aunt Dana?" Lily's fingers tightened. Her eyes found his face with a clarity that cut through the hypothermia fog. "She counts everything," Lily whispered. "She counts my food. She counts my steps. She'll know I ran." Stone felt something shift in his chest. A cold that had nothing to do with the weather. "I'm not calling anyone except help," he said firmly. "Okay, just help." He slid one arm under her shoulders and the other under her knees. She weighed almost nothing, like holding a bundle of sticks wrapped in a garbage bag. That was wrong. That was deeply, terrifyingly wrong. Stone stood and carried her toward the front of the building. Lily's head lolled against his shoulder, but her hand found something at her chest and clutched it tight. Stone glanced down and saw a small porcelain music box no bigger than his palm. A painted bluebird decorated the lid. "My mama," Lily murmured her words, slurring. "She gave it to me. She said the bluebird always finds spring." Stone didn't answer. He couldn't. His throat had closed around a grief he thought he'd buried years ago. He pushed through the Travel Plaza doors. The bell chimed. 3 bright notes that felt obscenely cheerful. Warm air hit Lily's face, and Stone felt her shiver intensify, her body reacting to the temperature change with violent tremors. The cashier behind the counter looked up. Young guy, early 20s, wearing a company polo and a name tag that read Tyler. His eyes went from Stone's face to the Hell's Angels patch on his jacket to the small, blue-lipped girl in his arms. Tyler's expression shifted from boredom to alarm. "Call 911, Stone said. "Tell them we have a child with severe hypothermia. Tell them to hurry." Tyler didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the patch. The winged skull, the words Hell's Angels stitched in red and white. Stone understood. He'd seen that look before. People saw the leather and the patches and the bikes, and they assumed the worst. They assumed violence. They assumed danger. They didn't see the toy drives, the charity rides, the funeral escorts for veterans, the hours spent visiting sick kids in hospitals. They just saw the jacket. "Kid," Stone said, his voice hardening. "I don't have time for whatever story you're telling yourself right now. There's a child dying in my arms. Pick up that phone and call 911. Tyler swallowed hard. I don't want trouble," he stammered. "The only trouble you're going to have is living with yourself if this girl dies because you hesitated." Something in Stone's voice broke through. Tyler grabbed the phone and dialed. Stone carried Lily to a bench near the space heater and lowered her down carefully. He stripped off his riding jacket and wrapped it around her, blocking as much of the cold as he could. Lily's eyes fluttered open again. "They won't help," she whispered. Stone crouched beside her. "Who won't help?" "People." Lily's voice cracked. "I asked people, before you. Nobody helped." Stone's jaw tightened. "Tell me." Lily took a shallow breath. Speaking seemed to cost her energy she didn't have, but the words came anyway, like they'd been waiting to escape. "There was a lady at the gas pumps," Lily said. "She was getting gas. I walked up to her car. I asked if she could help me." Stone waited. She rolled her window down a little bit, just a crack. She looked at me and she said, "Where's your mommy, sweetheart?" I told her my mommy was gone. I told her I needed help. I told her I was cold. Lily's hand tightened on the music box. She said, "I'm sure someone's looking for you, honey." Then she rolled the window up, and she drove away. Stone exhaled slowly. "The second person?" he asked. Lily nodded weakly. "A truck driver. Big truck. He was walking into the store. I ran up to him and I said, 'Please, sir, I need help. Please.'" He looked down at me and he said, "Not my problem, kid. I got my own stuff to deal with." Then he walked inside and bought a sandwich. He walked right past me when he came out. He didn't even look. Stone's hands curled into fists at his sides. "Go on." The third one was a security guard. He came around the building and he saw me sitting by the dumpster. I thought he was going to help. I thought that's what security guards do. Lily's voice broke. He told me I was trespassing. He said if I didn't leave, he would call the police on me. He said they'd put me in a bad place. He said I'd be in trouble. I tried to tell him I didn't have anywhere to go. He said that wasn't his problem. Stone looked at Tyler, who was still on the phone with 911. The young man's face had gone pale. "And the fourth?" Stone asked quietly. Lily's eyes filled with tears that couldn't quite fall. Too dehydrated. Too cold. There was a man with a charity hat. One of those hats that says the name of a church. He was carrying a coffee. I walked up to him and I said, "Sir, please. I'm so hungry. I'm so cold. Please help me." She swallowed. He smiled at me. He smiled real big like people do at church. And he said, "I'll pray for you, sweetheart. The Lord will provide." He said there were proper channels. He said the county has programs. He said I should go through the right steps. Lily's voice dropped to almost nothing. Then he bought a donut, a chocolate one with sprinkles. He ate it while he walked to his car. He looked at me while he chewed, like I was going to steal it. Stone couldn't speak. 4 people. 4 chances. 4 adults who saw a freezing child and decided someone else would handle it. "How long have you been out here?" Stone finally asked. "I don't know," Lily whispered. "A long time. It was still light when I ran." That meant hours. Hours in sub-freezing temperatures with nothing but a garbage bag and a summer dress. Stone heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. "Lily," he said, "why did you run?" Her hand moved to the music box again, touching the painted bluebird like it was the only solid thing in the universe. "Aunt Dana said something," Lily whispered. "Last night. She was on the phone. She thought I was asleep in the basement, but I heard her through the vent." Stone leaned closer. "What did she say?" Lily's eyes met his. Clear for just a moment. Lucid with a terrible adult understanding. She said, "After her birthday, I won't have to pretend anymore. The trust clears and I'm done playing house." She laughed when she said it. She laughed like it was funny. Stone felt the blood drain from his face. "When's your birthday, Lily?" 3 weeks. The sirens grew louder. Red and blue lights swept across the Travel Plaza windows. "She has a calendar," Lily continued, her voice fading. "In her office. My birthday is circled. Circled 3 times, in red. There's a note next to it. I can't read all the words, but I know one of them." "What word?" "Final." The EMTs burst through the doors, 2 of them moving fast. The older one, a woman with gray hair tucked under her cap, took one look at Lily, and her expression sharpened. "How long has she been exposed?" she asked Stone. "Hours. She doesn't know exactly. She was conscious when I found her." The EMT pressed a thermometer under Lily's tongue and waited. When she read the result, she exhaled through her nose. 91.2, she announced. "We're on the edge. If she drops below 90, her heart might decide it's done. We need to move now." They lifted Lily onto a stretcher. She was so small, she barely filled half of it. "Wait." Lily breathed, her hand reaching out. Stone stepped forward and took her fingers. They were ice cold, even through his calloused skin. "I'm right here," he said. "Don't let them call her," Lily pleaded. "Promise." Don't let them send me back. Stone squeezed her hand gently. Nobody's sending you anywhere except a hospital, and I'm going to be right behind the ambulance the whole way. Lily's eyes searched his face, looking for the lie, looking for the moment he would become like all the others. Why? She whispered. Why do you care? Stone's throat tightened. Because someone should. They wheeled her toward the ambulance. Lily kept her eyes on Stone until the doors closed between them. Stone stood in the Travel Plaza parking lot as the ambulance pulled away, its lights painting the snow red and blue. Tyler stepped outside, arms wrapped around himself against the cold. Is she going to be okay? He asked. Stone turned to look at him. Really look. You saw her, Stone said. Earlier tonight, before I got here. Didn't you? Tyler's face crumpled. She came to the window. I was doing inventory. She knocked on the glass. I thought she was with someone. I thought someone else would. He couldn't finish. She asked you for help, Stone said. It wasn't a question. She asked if I had any food. Tyler's voice broke. I told her I couldn't just give stuff away. I told her to go home. Stone didn't hit him. He wanted to. Every instinct in his body screamed to plant a fist in this kid's face and make him feel a fraction of what Lily had felt. But that wouldn't help Lily. You'll have to live with that, Stone said quietly. For the rest of your life, you will know that a 6-year-old girl asked you for help, and you told her to go home. The home she was running from. The home that might have killed her. Tyler started to cry. Stone walked back to his bike. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number he knew by heart. The line picked up on the second ring. Stone. The voice on the other end was deep calm and carried the weight of absolute authority. It's 3 a.m. Preacher, I know what time it is. I need every brother within 200 miles at St. Catherine's Medical Center in Helena. Now. A pause. Just a beat. What's going on? 6-year-old girl. Found her freezing behind a dumpster. She's terrified of her guardian. Something's very wrong, Preacher. I can feel it in my gut. Stone heard Preacher exhale slowly. You trust this feeling, with everything I have. Another pause, then, say no more. We're coming. Stone ended the call. He climbed on his bike, fired the engine, and pulled out of the Travel Plaza lot, following the fading lights of the ambulance through the frozen Montana night. Behind him, Tyler stood in the cold, watching him go, tears freezing on his cheeks. The drive to St. Catherine's took 18 minutes. Stone stayed behind the ambulance the entire way, his headlight cutting through the darkness, his mind turning over everything Lily had said. She counts my food. She counts my steps. The trust clears, and I'm done playing house. Final. What kind of person circles a child's birthday in red and writes final next to it? Stone had seen a lot of evil in his life. House fires set for insurance money. Domestic violence calls where the abuser stood calm and smiling while the victim bled on the floor. Parents who hurt their own children in ways that haunted him for years. But something about this felt different. Calculated. Cold. Like a machine running a program. The ambulance pulled into the ER bay. Stone parked his bike in the lot and walked toward the entrance. Inside the hospital smelled like disinfectant and warm plastic. Machines beeped their steady rhythms. Nurses moved with purpose, speaking in that calm, professional tone that meant things were serious, but not hopeless. Stone found the waiting area outside the emergency treatment rooms. A nurse told him Lily was being stabilized. Core temperature slowly rising. Frostbite assessment on her toes. IV fluids to combat dehydration. He sat down and waited, and at 3:34 in the morning, a doctor approached him. Young woman, dark skin, sharp eyes, that had seen too much and still decided to keep looking. "You're the one who found her?" she asked. "Yes." "I'm Dr. Santos." She sat down across from him. "The girl, Lily. She's stable for now, but I need to ask you some questions." "Ask." "When you found her, did she say anything about her home situation?" Her guardian, Stone repeated everything Lily had told him. The counting, the locked refrigerator, the basement, the calendar, the word final. Dr. Santos's expression didn't change much, but her jaw tightened. "I examined her thoroughly," she said quietly. "Beyond the hypothermia and malnutrition, there are other concerns." Stone waited. "She has 3 healed fractures in her left arm. Old ones, never properly set. There are ligature marks on her wrists consistent with restraint. Her growth is severely stunted for her age. And there are patterns of bruising that suggest systematic physical abuse over an extended period." Stone closed his eyes. "This isn't one bad night," Dr. Santos continued. "This is a pattern. This child has been suffering for a long time. And if what she told you about that calendar is true..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. "What happens now?" Stone asked. "I've already contacted social services. An emergency protective hold will be issued. The guardian won't be able to take her." "And if the guardian shows up?" Dr. Santos looked him straight in the eye. "Then we'll need witnesses, people who won't look away." Stone nodded slowly. "How many witnesses do you need?" "As many as possible." Stone pulled out his phone and checked the time. 3:41 a.m. "Doc," he said. "By sunrise you're going to have about 180 of them. Maybe more." Dr. Santos raised an eyebrow. "Hell's Angels." "The ones who don't look away." For the first time, something like hope flickered across the doctor's face. "Good," she said. "Because in my experience, systems fail children. They fail them all the time. The paperwork gets lost. The interviews get rushed. The guardian smiles and says the right things, and everyone decides to believe them. But systems have a harder time failing when there are witnesses." Stone stood up. "Can I see her?" "She's asking for you. She keeps saying, 'the man with the loud jacket.' I'm assuming that's you." Stone almost smiled. He followed Dr. Santos down the hallway to a small room where Lily lay under warming blankets, wires monitoring her heart rate, an IV dripping fluids into her arm. She looked even smaller in the hospital bed, a tiny thing surrounded by machines built for adults. But her eyes were open, and they found Stone immediately. "You came," she whispered. Stone walked to her bedside and pulled up a chair. "I told you I would." Lily's hand slipped out from under the blankets, still clutching the porcelain music box. "The nurses wanted to take it," she said, "for safekeeping. But I can't let go. If I let go, I might lose it. And if I lose it..." Her voice trailed off. "You'll never lose it," Stone said firmly. "Not as long as I'm here." Lily looked at him with those ancient brown eyes. "Are you going to leave?" "No." "People leave." "I know, but I'm not leaving." She studied him for a long moment. Then slowly she relaxed back against the pillow. "She's going to come," Lily said softly. "Aunt Dana, she always knows. She has this way of knowing everything. She's going to come, and she's going to smile, and she's going to say all the right things. And they'll believe her. They always believe her." Stone leaned forward. "Not this time." "How do you know?" "Because this time there are going to be people watching. A lot of people. And they're going to watch every smile. Listen to every word. Document everything. And smiles don't work on paper. Lily's hand tightened on the music box. What if it's not enough? Stone thought about his daughter. About the drunk driver who got 18 months and was back on the road before the grave marker had finished settling. About all the times the system had failed. About all the people who deserved justice and never got it. But he also thought about the times it worked, the moments when enough people paid attention, when enough witnesses gathered, when the weight of observation became too heavy for lies to survive. Sometimes, Stone said carefully, the world works the way it's supposed to. Sometimes the good guys win. And tonight, Lily, we're going to make sure you're one of the good guys who wins. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I don't feel like a good guy, she whispered. I feel like a scared little girl who ran away and doesn't know what happens next. Stone reached out and gently touched the music box in her hands. That blue bird, he said. Your mama said it always finds spring, right? Lily nodded. You know what spring is, Lily? Spring is what comes after you survive the winter. And you survived. You're here. You made it through the worst cold of your life, and you're still breathing. That's not being scared. That's being brave. Lily looked down at the painted bluebird. I don't feel brave. Brave people never do. They just do the thing that scares them anyway. Outside, Stone heard the first rumble. Low at first. Distant. Like thunder gathering beyond the horizon. Then closer. Louder. The unmistakable sound of multiple engines moving in formation. Lily's eyes widened. What's that? Stone glanced toward the window, where the first gray light of dawn was beginning to soften the darkness. That, he said, is 180 people who don't look away. The rumble grew until it shook the windows. Then, almost in unison, the engines cut, silence fell. Heavy and complete. Lily clutched her music box and stared at Stone. All of them, she whispered. For me. Stone nodded. For you. A tear finally broke free and rolled down Lily's cheek. Why? Stone didn't have an easy answer. Didn't have a speech prepared. Didn't have anything but the truth. Because you asked for help, he said simply. And this time someone finally heard you. The first brother through the hospital doors was Preacher, 62 years old, retired pastor, chapter president for 11 years. He moved with the quiet authority of a man who had buried friends, counseled killers, and still believed in redemption. Behind him came the others, not rushing, not shouting, just walking in with purpose, filling the waiting room like water filling a vessel. Stone met him in the hallway. Where is she? Preacher asked. Room 114. She's stable. Scared. The Guardian. Not here yet, but she will be. Preacher nodded slowly. His eyes swept the corridor, taking in the nurses, the security guard, pretending not to watch the social worker hurrying toward them with a clipboard. How many brothers outside? Stone asked. 183. More coming. That's a lot of witnesses. Preacher's jaw tightened. That's the point. The social worker reached them. Young woman, exhausted eyes hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. Her name tag read Rachel Okonkwo. I'm the on-call social worker, she said. Which one of you found the child? I did, Stone said. Rachel looked at his patch, then at Preacher's, then at the growing crowd of leather-clad men filling the waiting area. I need to ask you some questions, she said carefully. And I need to understand what's happening here. Preacher stepped forward. What's happening is simple. A child was found freezing to death. She's terrified of her guardian. We're here to make sure she doesn't disappear into a system that's already failed her. Rachel's expression flickered. The system doesn't— How many cases you carrying right now? Preacher interrupted gently. Rachel hesitated. That's not relevant. How many? She exhaled. 47. 47 families, 47 sets of problems, 47 chances for something to slip through the cracks. Preacher's voice stayed calm. We're not here to fight you, ma'am. We're here to make sure this little girl doesn't become crack number 48. Rachel stared at him for a long moment. The emergency protective hold is already in process, she finally said. The guardian can't take her without a court order. And if the guardian shows up with a lawyer and a smile, then we follow procedure. Stone shook his head. Procedure is what let this happen in the first place. That girl has healed fractures that were never treated. She's been locked in a basement. She's been starved. And somewhere along the line, someone followed procedure and signed off on it. But Rachel's face tightened. Not with anger, with recognition. I know, she said quietly. I know how broken it is. But I can only work within— Then let us work outside it, Preacher said. Legally, carefully. We document. We witness. We don't leave until that child is safe. That's all. Rachel looked at the waiting room full of Hell's Angels. Some of them held blankets. One carried a box of new children's socks tags still attached. Another had a stuffed bear tucked under his arm. You brought toys? She asked. Kids like toys, Preacher said simply. Even scared ones. Rachel's shoulders dropped half an inch. Room 114, she said. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't let anyone in or out without my authorization. She walked away, already pulling out her phone. Preacher turned to Stone. Tell me about the guardian. Name's Dana Welch, Lily's aunt. Took custody 14 months ago after the parents died in a car accident. What do we know about her? Nothing yet. But Lily said she counts her food, locks the refrigerator, keeps her in the basement. And there's something about a calendar with Lily's birthday circled and the word final written next to it. Preacher's expression didn't change, but his eyes went cold. Get Ledger on the finances, get Shield on the background, and get Compass in that room with the girl. She needs someone who knows how to listen. Stone nodded and moved. Within 15 minutes, the operation was running. Compass arrived first. 45 years old, former school counselor voice, like a warm blanket. He walked into Lily's room with slow, careful steps and sat down in the chair Stone had vacated. Hey there, he said softly. My name's Compass. That's what people call me anyway. You know why? Lily shook her head, clutching her music box. Because I help people find their direction when they're lost. You ever feel lost? Lily's eyes filled. All the time. Yeah, me too sometimes. But here's the thing about being lost. It's not permanent. It's just a moment. And moments end. Lily's grip on the music box loosened slightly. That's pretty, Compass said, nodding at it. Someone special give that to you. My mama. What's it play? You Are My Sunshine. Compass smiled gently. That's a good song. My mama used to sing that to me when I was scared. You ever wind it up when you're scared? Lily nodded. Does it help? Sometimes, when I can hear it over the other sounds. Compass's smile faded. What other sounds, Lily? She went quiet. Her eyes drifted toward the door. It's okay, Compass said. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. But I want you to know something. Whatever happened to you, whatever you're scared of, it's not your fault. You hear me? None of it. Lily's lower lip trembled. She says it's my fault, she whispered. She says I cost too much. She says I'm the reason she can't have nice things. Who says that? Aunt Dana. Compass leaned forward slightly. Lily, what does Aunt Dana do when she gets mad? The girl's whole body tensed. She doesn't hit, Lily said carefully. Not where people can see. Where does she hit? Lily touched her ribs, then her back, then the inside of her upper arm. Compass kept his face neutral, but his hands had curled into fists beneath the chair. And the basement? He asked gently. Tell me about the basement. Lily's breathing quickened. It's cold, she whispered. The door locks from outside. There's a cot, and a bucket, and a little window that doesn't open. I can see the sky sometimes, but I can't reach it. How often does she put you there? Every night, unless there's company. Then I sleep in the real bedroom so it looks normal. Compass exhaled slowly. Lily, you're very brave for telling me this. I'm not brave. I'm scared. Brave people are always scared. That's what makes them brave. They do the hard thing anyway. Lily looked at him with those ancient eyes. Will you stay? As long as you need me. People always leave. Compass reached out and gently touched the edge of her blanket. Not me. And not the man who found you. And not the 180 people outside who came here in the middle of the night because they heard a little girl needed help. Lily's eyes widened. All of them. They came for me. Every single one. For the first time since Stone had found her behind the dumpster, something other than fear flickered across Lily's face. Hope. Small and fragile. But there. Down the hall, Shield was on the phone with county records. Former detective. 48 years old. Methodical. Patient. The kind of man who could sit in an interrogation room for 12 hours and never lose his composure. I need everything you have on Dana Welch, he said. Prior addresses, employment history, any previous guardianship arrangements. The clerk on the other end hesitated. I can't just release that information without... There's a 6-year-old girl in the hospital right now with hypothermia, malnutrition, and healed fractures that were never reported. The guardian is Dana Welch. You can either help me now, or you can explain to a judge later why you didn't. Silence on the line. Give me 20 minutes, the clerk finally said. Shield hung up and turned to Ledger. Ledger was already working. Laptop open fingers moving across the keyboard with the precision of a man who had spent 30 years following money through corporate mazes. Lily's parents died 14 months ago, Ledger said without looking up. Car accident, head-on collision with a semi, both killed instantly. Life insurance payout plus wrongful death settlement totaled $412,000. Where's the money now? Trust account. Guardian has full access for child care expenses. Ledger's voice dripped with disgust. I'm pulling the transaction records now. How bad? Ledger's fingers stopped. Bad, he said quietly. In 14 months, $287,000 has been withdrawn. Deposits to personal accounts, cash withdrawals, credit card payments for a lake house, a new SUV, casino debts, designer clothes. He looked up. Monthly claimed expenses for the child's care. $4,200. Actual documented spending on the child. Maybe $60. Stone, who had been listening from the doorway, felt his stomach turn. She's stealing from her, he said. From a 6-year-old orphan. Worse than that. Ledger turned the laptop screen toward him. Look at the withdrawal schedule. It accelerates in the last 3 months. Big chunks. Like she's draining it fast. Because she knows it's ending, Shield added. Something happens on the kid's birthday. Something that changes the trust access. Or ends it. Stone thought about the calendar. The word final. We need to get into that house, he said. Not without a warrant, Shield replied. And not without more than suspicion. We have a freezing child and financial fraud. We have a freezing child and a story. The fraud is circumstantial until we can prove the guardian's spending isn't legitimate. A good lawyer will argue she was managing the trust properly. Stone's jaw clenched. So, what do we do? Shield's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his expression shifted. County records came through. He read silently for a moment, then looked up. Dana Welch had another foster child in her care. 3 years ago. A girl named Emma Cortez. Where is she now? Shield's voice went flat. Dead. Drowned in the backyard pool during supervised swim time. Death ruled accidental. Life insurance policy on the child paid out $75,000. Beneficiary, Dana Welch. The room went silent. Stone felt the air leave his lungs. She's done this before, he breathed. She's done this before, Shield confirmed. And she got away with it. Preacher appeared in the doorway. His face was stone. The guardian just pulled into the parking lot, he said. She's got a lawyer with her. Stone started moving. Nobody talks to her without witnesses. Nobody. You understand? Preacher nodded. Already handled. We've got brothers at every entrance. Cameras rolling. Everything documented. They moved toward the main entrance. Dana Welch walked through the hospital doors at 6:47 a.m. She was exactly what Stone had expected, and nothing like it at the same time. 44 years old. Well-dressed in a cream-colored coat and leather boots. Hair perfectly styled. Makeup flawless despite the early hour. She carried a small bakery box, the kind that held muffins or pastries. She looked like a concerned aunt, rushing to check on her beloved niece. She looked like someone who had practiced this moment. The lawyer beside her was a thin man in an expensive suit, already scanning the room with calculating eyes. Dana spotted the crowd of Hell's Angels, and her step faltered. Just for a second. Then the smile locked back into place. "Oh my goodness," she said, her voice pitched with worry. "Where is she? Is she okay? I've been worried sick." Rachel Okonkwo stepped forward. "Ms. Welch, I'm the social worker assigned to this case. I need to speak with you privately." Of course. Whatever you need. I just want to see my Lily." "That won't be possible right now." Dana's smile flickered. "I'm sorry. She's my niece. I'm her legal guardian. An emergency protective hold has been issued. You cannot have contact with the child until the investigation is complete." The lawyer stepped forward. "On what grounds?" "Suspected child abuse and neglect. The child was found in a hypothermic state showing signs of chronic malnutrition and physical trauma." Dana's hand flew to her chest. The performance was seamless. "Abuse? That's insane. Lily has episodes. She runs away sometimes. She gets confused. I've been trying to get her help, but the system is so slow." "Ms. Welch." Dr. Santos appeared, clipboard in hand. "The child has 3 healed fractures that were never medically treated. She has ligature marks consistent with restraint. Her body weight is significantly below normal for her age." "Can you explain any of that?" Dana's eyes darted between the doctor and the social worker. "She's clumsy. She falls. And she doesn't like to eat. It's been a struggle since her parents—" "She told us you lock the refrigerator," Stone interrupted. Dana turned to face him. Her eyes traveled over his patch, his face, his size. And for just a moment, something cold flickered behind the concerned aunt mask. "I'm sorry, who are you?" "The man who found her freezing behind a dumpster." Dana's smile tightened. "Lily has a very active imagination. She makes up stories. The doctors can tell you children who've experienced trauma often. She said you lock her in the basement." "That's ridiculous." "She said you have a calendar with her birthday circled, with the word 'final' written next to it." For the first time, Dana's composure cracked. Just a flash. A microsecond of pure fury that crossed her face before the mask slammed back down. I don't know what she's told you, but she's a disturbed little girl who needs professional help, not interrogation. The lawyer stepped between them. My client has rights. If you're going to make accusations, make them formally. Otherwise, we'll be seeking immediate restoration of custody. Preacher moved forward, slowly, without aggression. Ma'am, he said calmly, nobody's making accusations. We're asking questions, and the answers don't seem to be adding up. Who are you people? Dana demanded, her voice rising. This is a family matter. A family matter that ended with a 6-year-old child nearly dying of hypothermia, while 4 people refused to help her, Stone said. That's not family. That's something else entirely. Dana's lawyer put a hand on her arm. Don't engage. Let the process work. But Dana wasn't listening anymore. Her eyes had locked onto Stone with an intensity that made his skin crawl. You don't know anything, she hissed. You don't know what it's like to raise someone else's child. The expense, the sacrifice, the endless needs. You ride your motorcycles and judge people, but you don't know. Stone leaned closer. I know a child counted the days on her basement wall. I know she made a recording because she knew no one would believe her. I know she has a music box her mother gave her, and she held onto it so tight her fingers turned white because it was the only thing that made her feel safe. Dana went pale. What recording? The question came too fast, too sharp. Rachel Okonkwo's eyes narrowed. Ms. Welch will be in touch. For now, you need to leave the premises. She's my niece. She's a protected child. Security will escort you out. Dana's mask finally shattered. You can't do this. I have rights. I've given that child everything. Everything. And this is how she repays me, by lying to strangers, by running away in the middle of the night. Her voice had gone shrill. Heads were turning. Nurses stopped in the hallway to watch. Dana. The lawyer grabbed her arm. Not here. Do you know what she costs me? Do you have any idea? Dana. She stopped, breathing hard, eyes wild. Then, like a switch being flipped, the mask returned. Softer now. Wounded. I'm sorry, she said, her voice trembling. I'm just so worried about her. This has been such a difficult time. Stone watched the transformation with cold fascination. He had seen monsters before, but this was something different. Something that wore a human face so convincingly that people forgot to look underneath. Security arrived. 2 officers, polite but firm. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. Dana straightened her coat. This isn't over, she said quietly, to no one in particular, to everyone. Then she walked out, the lawyer trailing behind her. Stone watched her go. She'll be back, he said. We know, Preacher replied. That's why we're staying. Back in Lily's room, Compass held her hand while she told him about the recording. I found it in her desk, Lily whispered. A little recorder. She uses it for work things. I pressed the button when she was on the phone. I didn't know what she was saying exactly, but it scared me. So I hid it. Where did you hide it, Lily? She reached under the warming blanket and pulled out a small digital recorder no bigger than a thumb drive. In my underwear, she said. She never looks there. Compass took the recorder gently. You did a very brave thing, he said. This might help a lot of people understand the truth. Will they believe me now? I think they will. He pressed play. Dana's voice filled the room. Calm. Casual. Chilling. After her birthday, I won't have to pretend anymore. The trust clears and I'm done playing house. Do you have any idea how exhausting it is, keeping up appearances for a kid who isn't even mine? A pause. Someone speaking on the other end. No, it's fine. I've done this before. You just have to be patient. After January, the money's liquid. Then I can finally stop buying food for a child I never wanted. Laughter. Cold and sharp. Lily was crying silently. Compass stopped the recording. She never wanted me, Lily whispered. She only wanted the money. Compass pulled her into a gentle hug. That's not about you, he said firmly. That's about her. There is nothing wrong with you, Lily. You are worth more than any amount of money. Do you understand me? Lily's small body shook with sobs. Then why didn't anyone come? Someone came. Stone came. And he brought a whole army with him. But before, why didn't anyone come before? Compass held her tighter. Because people get scared. They get busy. They tell themselves someone else will handle it. And that's wrong. It's wrong, Lily. But it's not your fault. It was never your fault. Outside the room, Stone stood with Preacher. The recording is enough, Stone said. Combined with the medical evidence, the financial records, it's enough to start, Preacher agreed. But we need to finish this right. Shields already got a call into the sheriff. Ledger's documenting everything. By noon, we'll have enough paper to bury her. And the other girl, Emma... Preacher's jaw tightened. We're looking into it. If Dana killed that child, we'll find the proof. Stone looked toward Lily's door. She asked me why I care. Back at the travel plaza. She asked why I stopped. What did you tell her? I told her because someone should. Preacher nodded slowly. That's the only answer that matters. Down the hall, Rachel Okonkwo was on the phone with the county judge requesting an emergency hearing. Outside 183 Hells Angels stood in the parking lot waiting. And somewhere across town, Dana Welch was meeting with her lawyer planning her next move, because she wasn't done. Not yet. She had gotten away with it before. She believed she would get away with it again. She was wrong. The warrant came through at 7:58 a.m. Sheriff Wade Thornton called Stone personally. His voice was tight, controlled the voice of a man who had seen the evidence and made a decision. Search warrant signed by Judge Morrison, the sheriff said. We're moving on the residence in 30 minutes. You're the reporting party. You want to be there. I'll be there. Stone hung up and found Preacher in the waiting room. It's happening, Stone said. They're going in. Preacher nodded. Take Shield with you. Document everything. Don't touch anything. Let the law do its job. And if the law fails, then we make sure there's nowhere to hide. Stone and Shield rode to the sheriff's station where a convoy was already forming. 2 patrol cars. A county investigator's vehicle. An unmarked car carrying a family services representative named Tessa Brandt. Sheriff Thornton approached them. You understand the rules, he asked Stone. You observe, you don't interfere, you don't speak to the subject. Understood. And you, he looked at Shield. Retired detective, Shield said. Minneapolis PD, 23 years. I know how this works. Thornton studied them both for a long moment. The Hells Angels at the hospital, he said slowly. That's your people. Yes. They causing trouble? They're witnesses. That's all. Thornton exhaled. I've been sheriff here for 16 years. Never had a biker gang offer to help with a child welfare case. We're not a gang, Stone said quietly. We're a club, and we protect kids. That's not complicated. Thornton held his gaze, then nodded once. Let's move. The convoy rolled out at 8:31 a.m. Stone followed on his bike Shield beside him. The morning sun was breaking through the clouds, casting long shadows across the snow-covered roads. Dana Welch's house sat at 847 Pinecrest Lane. A nice address, a good neighborhood, the kind of place where people mowed their lawns on Saturdays and waved to each other from driveways. the kind of place where no one expected monsters to live. The convoy pulled up at 8:47 a.m. Stone parked his bike at the curb and watched as Sheriff Thornton approached the front door. Deputy Rena Holt flanked him. Tessa Brandt waited by the car with a clipboard. Thornton knocked. Silence. He knocked again. The door opened. Dana Welch stood in the doorway wearing yoga pants and a cashmere sweater. No makeup this time. Hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked smaller without the armor of her public persona. She also looked prepared, like she had been waiting. "Sheriff," she said calmly, "I assume this is about my niece. Ms. Welch, we have a warrant to search the premises." Thornton held up the document. "You're required to allow us access." Dana took the paper and read it slowly. Her expression didn't change. "This is harassment," she said. "I've already spoken to my lawyer." "You're welcome to call him, but we're coming in either way." Dana stepped aside. "Be my guest." Stone watched her closely as the officers entered. She was too calm, too controlled, like someone who had cleaned house and believed there was nothing left to find. He followed the team inside. The house was immaculate, not a pillow out of place, not a dish in the sink. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and fresh coffee. Deputy Holt moved toward the kitchen. Stone heard her stop. "Sheriff?" Thornton joined her. Stone followed. The refrigerator had a chain wrapped around the handles. A combination lock held it shut. Dana appeared behind them. "She steals food," she said smoothly. "Children with trauma issues often hoard. The lock is for her own protection." "Her own protection," Thornton repeated flatly. "She has eating problems. The therapist recommended controlled portions." "What therapist?" Dana hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. "I can get you the name." Thornton moved on. In the pantry, the same story. A heavy padlock on the door. Dana had a key ready. "She was hiding food in her room," Dana explained. "It was attracting ants. I had to do something." Shield photographed everything. The locks, the chains, the keys Dana produced so readily. Stone kept watching Dana's face, looking for the cracks. They found the basement door in the hallway. 3 deadbolts, all locking from the outside. Deputy Holt looked at Dana. "Why does this door lock from outside?" "Storage," Dana said. "Expensive equipment. You can't be too careful." "Open it." Dana reached into her pocket and produced 3 keys. One by one, she unlocked the deadbolts. The door swung open. Stone felt the cold air rise up from below. Thornton went down first. Stone followed, staying behind Shield, who had his camera ready. The basement was concrete, bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. No windows except a small one near the top of the wall, too high for a child to reach. A camp cot sat against one wall. Thin blanket. No pillow. A bucket in the corner. Lid closed. Stone's stomach turned. "This is where she slept?" Thornton asked quietly. "No," Dana called from the top of the stairs. "That's old furniture. She has a bedroom upstairs. This is storage." Thornton looked at the cot, at the bucket, at the scratch marks on the concrete wall. Scratch marks. Lines. Dozens of them, grouped in sets of 5. Stone crouched down and looked closer. Lily had been counting days. "Sheriff," Shield said. He was pointing at the wall behind the cot. "Look at this." Stone moved closer. Hidden under the mattress edge, pushed against the wall, were papers. Drawings. Child's artwork in crayon. Shield pulled them out carefully, photographing each one. Stick figures. A woman with an angry red face, a small figure crying. A door with lines across it like bars. And one more. A bird. Blue. Flying toward a yellow circle that might have been the sun. The bluebird always finds spring. Stone's throat closed. "This isn't storage," Thornton said. "This is a cell." Dana appeared at the top of the stairs. "She likes to draw down there," she said. Her voice had changed. Tighter. Higher. "She's creative. She makes things up." Nobody answered her. Thornton climbed the stairs and moved toward Dana's office. Inside a desk, a computer, filing cabinets, and on the wall a calendar. Stone stopped breathing. December and January were covered in red ink, notes in the margins, appointments, reminders. And there, circled 3 times in thick red marker, was January 14th. Lily's birthday. Next to it, in Dana's handwriting, trust access, final withdrawal. Thornton photographed the calendar. "Ms. Welch, what does this mean?" Dana's composure cracked. "That's private. That's my personal business." "It's evidence now." "Evidence of what? Planning a birthday party, managing finances. She's an orphan. Someone has to handle her money." "Handle it how?" Dana's eyes darted toward her lawyer, who had just arrived and was pushing through the front door. "Don't answer that," the lawyer said. "Not another word." But Thornton wasn't done. "Tessa," he called. "The filing cabinet." Tessa Brandt opened the drawer and began pulling folders. Trust paperwork, bank statements, transaction records. Ledger had found the digital trail. Now they had the physical proof. Tessa's face changed as she read. "Sheriff, look at this." She held up a statement. Stone moved closer. $412,000. The total inheritance from Lily's parents. Below it, withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal. $287,000 gone in 14 months. Lake house deposit, new SUV, casino payments, designer clothing, spa retreats, monthly child care expenses, claimed $4,200. Tessa flipped to another document. Actual receipts for Lily's care, $63. In 14 months. "She was starving her," Stone said quietly. "Literally starving her while she spent the kid's inheritance on herself." Dana's lawyer stepped forward. "Those expenditures are legitimate trust management costs. My client was caring for an orphaned child with complex needs." "Complex needs that required a lake house?" Thornton asked. "Respite care. Caregiver burnout is real. The guardian is entitled to reasonable compensation." "Reasonable." Thornton's voice had gone cold. "Deputy Holt, keep searching." It was Tessa who found the folder. Buried at the back of the filing cabinet behind tax documents and insurance papers was a manila envelope labeled Emma Cortez. Tessa opened it and went pale. "Sheriff." Inside was a death certificate. Emma Cortez, age 5. Cause of death, accidental drowning. A life insurance policy. $75,000. Beneficiary Dana Welch. And a photograph. A little girl with dark hair and bright eyes smiling at the camera. "Who is Emma Cortez?" Thornton asked Dana. Dana's face had gone white. "A foster child, 3 years ago. It was a tragedy. A tragedy that paid you $75,000. That was for burial costs, for expenses. I cared for that child." "Where did she drown?" "The backyard pool. During supervised swim time. It was an accident. The investigation cleared me." Stone felt something dark and heavy settle in his chest. "She's done this before," he said to Shield. "This is a pattern." Shield was already photographing the Emma Cortez file. "Get me the original investigator on this case," Thornton said to Holt. "And contact the state. We're reopening this." Dana's composure shattered. "You can't do this. That case is closed. I was cleared." "Evidence of a pattern changes things," Thornton said. "You had another child in your care. She died. You collected money. Now you have a second child in your care. She almost died. And you're draining her inheritance." He paused. "That's not coincidence. That's calculation." Dana turned to her lawyer. "Do something." The lawyer's face had gone carefully blank, the expression of a man recalculating his position. "I need to speak with my client privately." "You can speak with her at the station." Thornton nodded to Holt. "Dana Welch, you're under arrest for felony child abuse, unlawful imprisonment, and theft by deception. Additional charges are pending." No, this isn't happening." Holt pulled out handcuffs. "Turn around, please." "I'm her family? I'm the only family she has. You're the person who locked her in a basement and let her freeze." "She ran away. That's not my fault." "She ran because she heard you on the phone. She heard you say you were done pretending after her birthday. She heard you laugh about it." Dana's face twisted. "She's lying. She's a disturbed child who lies about everything." "We have the recording." Dana froze. "What? Lily recorded your phone call. We have your voice, your words, your plan." For a long moment, Dana stared at Stone. The mask was completely gone now. What remained was something hollow and cold and utterly without remorse. "She's a child," Dana said quietly. "Nobody believes children." "We do." The handcuffs clicked shut. Holt read her rights while Dana stood motionless, her eyes fixed on Stone with pure hatred. "You don't understand," Dana said as they led her toward the door. "You don't understand what it's like. These children cost everything. They need and need and need. They never stop needing." Stone blocked her path. "She needed food," he said. "She needed warmth. She needed someone to love her. You had $400,000, and you gave her a bucket in a basement. I gave her a home. You gave her a cage. I was doing everyone a favor." Stone leaned closer. "You were doing yourself a favor. And now you're going to prison." Dana's lawyer pulled her away. "Not another word, Dana. Not one word." They put her in the back of the patrol car. Stone watched through the window as her expression shifted from anger to calculation. She was already planning, already scheming, already looking for the angle. But the evidence was too strong. The paper trail too clear. The recording too damning. For the first time in her life, Dana Welch had left fingerprints she couldn't wipe away. Back at the hospital, Compass sat with Lily while Stone delivered the news. "They arrested her," Stone said. "She's not coming back." Lily's hand found the music box and held it tight. "You're sure?" "I'm sure. She always gets out of things. She smiles and people believe her." "Not this time. This time we have proof, and proof doesn't care about smiles." Lily looked at Compass, then at Stone, then at the door where a deputy now stood guard. "What happens to me?" "The social worker is looking for family. Good family. Real family. Someone who will love you." "What if there's nobody?" "Then we'll figure it out together." Lily's lower lip trembled. "I don't want to go back to the basement." "You're never going back. I promise you. That door is closed forever." Lily looked at him with those ancient, wounded eyes. "People break promises." "I don't. How do I know? Stone crouched down to her level. Because I'm still here. Because I came back. Because I brought 180 people who don't break promises either. You're not invisible anymore, Lily. You're seen. You're protected. And you're going to be okay. Lily's tears finally fell. I'm scared. I know. But being scared is okay. What matters is what you do when you're scared. And you did the bravest thing possible. You ran toward the lights. Lily looked at her music box. Mama said the bluebird always finds spring. She was right. I didn't believe her. Not until tonight. Stone put his hand gently over hers. Believe her now. Outside, the sun had fully risen. The parking lot was still filled with motorcycles, but the energy had shifted. Not vigilance anymore. Something closer to relief. Preacher met Stone in the hallway. It's done. It's done. Arrested. In custody. They're reopening the Emma Cortez case too. Preacher closed his eyes briefly. That other little girl. 3 years. She got away with it. But not this time. How's Lily? Scared, but holding on. Preacher looked toward her room. The social worker found family. Lily's grandmother, the father's mother, lives in Missoula. Dana's lawyers had blocked contact, but that's over now. When? Tomorrow. They're doing the paperwork today. Stone felt something loosen in his chest. A weight he hadn't realized he was carrying. A grandmother. Her name is Eleanor. She's 71. She's been trying to reach Lily for 14 months. Dana told her Lily didn't want contact. And Lily didn't know she existed. Dana never told her. Stone's jaw tightened. One more thing to add to the list. The list is long enough. What matters now is the future. Inside the room, Lily was asking Compass a question. Will you stay until my grandmother comes, as long as you need me? What if she doesn't like me? She'll love you. How do you know? Because she's been fighting to find you for over a year. People don't fight that hard for someone they don't love. Lily considered this. I don't remember her. That's okay. You'll make new memories. Will you come visit me? Compass smiled gently. Try to keep me away. Lily's hand relaxed around the music box. Not letting go. Just loosening. Just trusting that it would still be there. I thought no one was coming, she whispered. I thought I would die behind that ice machine and nobody would even know. But you didn't die. Because Stone found me. Because you were brave enough to keep trying. You asked 4 people for help. 4 people said no. Most adults would have given up. You didn't. Lily looked at the bluebird on her music box. Mama said never give up on spring. Your mama was smart. She was the smartest person I knew. Then carry that with you. Every day. Her voice in your head. Her words in your heart. She's still with you, Lily. She always will be. Lily's tears fell silently, but for the first time they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of something that had been locked away for 14 months, finally breaking free. Hope. In the parking lot, the brothers began to move. Some returning home, others heading to diners for breakfast they'd earned. A few staying behind to maintain the watch until Lily was safely transferred. Stone stood by his bike, watching the sun climb higher. Preacher joined him. You did good, Preacher said. I did what anyone should have done. Anyone should have? You did. Stone looked at the hospital doors. She asked me why I cared. Back at the travel plaza. She asked why I stopped. What did you tell her? Because someone should. Preacher nodded slowly. That's the only answer that matters. Stone started his bike. I'm going to stay in town a few days. Make sure the transfer goes smooth. Make sure Dana's lawyer doesn't try anything. We've got brothers rotating through. You don't have to carry this alone. I know, but I want to. Preacher studied him. This one's personal. Stone didn't answer. He didn't have to. 12 years ago, he couldn't save his daughter. The drunk driver had gotten 18 months and walked free while Stone buried the only person who had made his life worth living. He couldn't change that. Couldn't undo it. Couldn't bring her back. But this one small life, this one frightened child, this he could save. I'll see you in a few days, Stone said. Ride safe, brother. Stone pulled out of the parking lot and headed toward town. Behind him, the hospital stood like a fortress. Inside, a 6-year-old girl held a music box and waited for spring. And in a county jail cell, Dana Welch sat alone with the ruins of her perfect mask, finally understanding that some lies can't be smiled away. Dana Welch's lawyer filed the first motion within 48 hours. Improper search, coerced statements, witness intimidation by a criminal organization. Stone read the filing at a diner outside Helena, his coffee going cold while his blood heated up. She's claiming we intimidated witnesses, he told Preacher over the phone. She's saying the search was illegal because I was present. You were the reporting party. The sheriff invited you. Her lawyer is spinning it. He's saying bikers in the parking lot created an atmosphere of fear. He's asking the judge to suppress the recording, the financial records, everything found at the house. Preacher was silent for a moment. What does Shield say? He's already on it. Every piece of evidence was logged and time-stamped. Chain of custody is perfect. The hospital has security footage showing our guys doing nothing but standing around. Then let her try. Paper beats lies. What if it doesn't? Then we make more paper. Stone hung up and stared at his reflection in the diner window. He looked older than he had a week ago, tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. But underneath the exhaustion was something harder, something that wouldn't quit until Lily was safe. The suppression hearing was scheduled for 3 days later. Judge Rebecca Moreau presided. Late 50s, gray hair eyes that had seen every kind of courtroom manipulation and lost patience for all of it. Dana's lawyer, a man named Philip Kessler, stood with confident posture and a voice smooth as oil. Your Honor, the evidence in this case was obtained under circumstances that taint its validity. My client's home was searched while members of a motorcycle gang waited outside. The child's statements were taken while the same gang occupied the hospital. This creates an atmosphere of intimidation that renders all evidence suspect. The prosecutor, a woman named Sarah Chen, rose to respond. Your Honor, the Hells Angels members present were peaceful witnesses. Hospital security has confirmed no incidents. Sheriff Thornton's report documents that all search procedures followed standard protocol. The reporting party was present at the sheriff's invitation, as is customary. The reporting party is a member of the Hells Angels, Kessler countered. His presence influenced the search. His presence influenced the child's statements. Everything flows from that contamination. Judge Moreau looked at both attorneys. Is there evidence that anyone from this motorcycle club threatened, coerced, or improperly influenced anyone involved in this case? The presence itself, Kessler began. I asked about evidence, Counselor, not atmosphere. Kessler paused. We're prepared to show that several witnesses expressed discomfort with the biker's presence. Discomfort isn't coercion. Do you have evidence of actual intimidation? Kessler's jaw tightened. The presence of nearly 200 gang members. Club members, Judge Moreau corrected. Let's use accurate terminology. The presence of nearly 200 club members at a hospital where a child abuse investigation was underway creates inherent pressure on everyone involved. Judge Moreau leaned back. Ms. Chen, what do you have? Sarah Chen stood. Your Honor, I have security footage from St. Catherine's Hospital showing 183 individuals standing peacefully in the parking lot over a 12-hour period. They brought blankets, food, and children's clothing. They complied with every security request. They did not enter restricted areas. They did not approach witnesses without permission. They did not make threats. She placed a folder on the judge's desk. I also have written statements from Sheriff Thornton Hospital Security Chief, Martin Webb Social Worker, Rachel Okonkwo, and Dr. Miguel Santos. All confirm that no intimidation occurred. Kessler stepped forward. Written statements prepared after the fact. Contemporaneous logs, Chen interrupted. Time-stamped, verified. The sheriff's body camera footage shows the entire search. Every door opened properly. Every piece of evidence photographed in situ. Chain of custody documentation is flawless. She placed another folder on the desk. And I have the recording, made by the child herself, on a device belonging to the defendant, before any Hell's Angels member was aware of the case, before Stone McAllister stopped for gas, before any of this began. Judge Moreau opened the folder and read silently. The courtroom waited. Mr. Kessler, the judge said finally, your motion is denied. The evidence was obtained properly. The recording predates all other events in this case. There is no contamination. Your Honor. I'm not finished. This motion appears to be a delay tactic designed to create procedural complications rather than address legitimate legal concerns. I'm ordering the trial to proceed on schedule. Any further frivolous motions will result in sanctions. Kessler's face went rigid. My client has rights. Your client allegedly starved and imprisoned a 6-year-old child. Her rights are being respected. The child's safety is being prioritized. Those two things are not in conflict. The gavel fell. Stone, watching from the gallery, felt something ease in his chest. Paper was winning. The trial began 3 weeks later. Kessler tried every angle. He argued that Lily was disturbed, prone to fantasy, unable to distinguish reality from imagination. He argued that Dana was a loving aunt, overwhelmed by the challenges of raising a traumatized orphan. He argued that the financial withdrawals were legitimate expenses properly documented, legally sound. Sarah Chen methodically dismantled each argument. First, she called Dr. Santos. Dr. Santos, you examined Lily Parker upon her admission to St. Catherine's. What did you find? Severe hypothermia, core temperature of 91.2 degrees, early frostbite on both feet, signs of chronic malnutrition, 3 healed fractures in her left arm that had never been properly treated, ligature marks on both wrists consistent with restraint, bruising patterns on her ribs, back, and upper arms consistent with sustained physical abuse. In your medical opinion, was this the result of a single incident? No. This was a pattern of abuse over an extended period, likely months, possibly the entire 14 months she was in the defendant's care. Kessler's cross-examination tried to suggest the injuries could have been accidental. Dr. Santos didn't waver. Accidental injuries don't create symmetrical ligature marks. Accidental injuries don't leave bruising in areas specifically chosen to be hidden by clothing. This child was systematically abused. Then came the guilty witnesses. Tyler Nash took the stand first, 23 years old, face pale, hands shaking. Mr. Nash, you were working at the Blue Ridge Travel Plaza on the night in question. Yes. Did you see Lily Parker that night? Tyler's voice broke. Yes. She came to the window. She knocked. She asked if I had any food. What did you do? I told her I couldn't give stuff away. I told her to go home. Did you notice anything unusual about her appearance? Tyler's eyes closed. Her lips were blue. Her hands were shaking. She was wearing a garbage bag. I could see she was freezing. I could see something was wrong. But you didn't help. No. Why not? Tyler's tears fell. I told myself someone else would handle it. I told myself it wasn't my business. I told myself I'd get in trouble. His voice cracked. I told myself a lot of lies that night. Sarah Chen let the silence hold. What do you want to say to Lily now? Kessler objected. Irrelevant, Judge Moreau overruled. Tyler looked toward the closed-circuit monitor where Lily would later testify. I'm sorry, he whispered. I saw you. I should have helped you. I'm sorry. Margaret Brightwater came next. The neighbor, 67 years old, hands folded tight in her lap. Mrs. Brightwater, you lived next door to Dana Welch. For 3 years. Did you ever have concerns about Lily's welfare? Margaret's face crumpled. I heard crying. Through the walls, at night, I heard a child crying and I told myself it was nightmares. I saw her carrying heavy bags to the garage in thin gloves. I saw her flinch when Dana's truck pulled up. I saw her wearing the same clothes week after week. Did you report your concerns? Once. I called the county. They sent someone. Dana smiled and gave them a tour. After that, she told me if I kept meddling, she'd make sure I regretted it. So you stopped. I stopped. I convinced myself that if the county saw it and did nothing, what was my voice going to change? Margaret's voice broke. I was a coward. I let a child suffer because I was afraid of a woman with a mean streak. Carol Hendricks followed. The teacher, 47 years old. Tears already streaming before she reached the stand. Ms. Hendricks, you were Lily's first-grade teacher. Yes, for 3 months, before she was withdrawn for homeschooling. What did you observe? She never had lunch, every day. The other kids had sandwiches, snacks, fruit. Lily had nothing. She would watch them eat with this look on her face. Hungry, so hungry. Did you report this? I filed a report with the principal. He told me Dana Welch was a valued volunteer and donor. He said I was overreacting. A week later, Lily was suddenly homeschooled. I never saw her again. What do you wish you had done differently? Carol sobbed. I wish I had trusted my gut. I wish I had pushed harder. I wish I had knocked on that door myself, instead of believing a principal who was more worried about donations than children. Deputy Mike Farrell testified next, the officer who had responded to the welfare check 8 months earlier. Deputy Farrell, you visited Dana Welch's home? Yes. Anonymous tip. Concerns about a child's welfare. What did you find? Ms. Welch was cooperative. She gave me a tour of the house. Everything looked clean, normal. The child was in her room, quiet, well-dressed. Did you examine the basement? Farrell's jaw tightened. The door was locked. Ms. Welch said it was storage. I didn't push. Why not? Because she smiled. Because she had answers for everything. Because it was easier to believe her than to assume the worst. Do you regret that decision? Every day since I saw those photographs. Every single day. Then came the Emma Cortez evidence. Sarah Chen approached the exhibit board. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to introduce evidence from a prior case involving the defendant. Kessler objected strenuously. Prejudicial. Irrelevant. Character assassination. Judge Moreau reviewed the documentation and overruled. The evidence shows a pattern of behavior. It's admissible. Chen walked the jury through it. Emma Cortez, 5 years old. Foster child in Dana Welch's care 3 years earlier. Drowned in the backyard pool during supervised swim time. Life insurance policy, $75,000. Beneficiary, Dana Welch. Death investigation closed as accidental within 2 weeks. No charges filed. The prosecution has obtained testimony from Emma's former caseworker who flagged concerns about Dana Welch prior to Emma's death. Those concerns were dismissed because Ms. Welch had excellent references. Chen looked at the jury. Emma Cortez was 5 years old. She deserved protection. She didn't get it. Lily Parker is 6. She almost became the second victim. Kessler's cross-examination tried to establish that Emma's death was a tragic accident unrelated to Lily's case, but the pattern was clear. 2 children, 2 life insurance policies, 2 opportunities to profit from tragedy. Lily testified via closed-circuit video. Compass sat beside her off-camera. Stone watched from the gallery, his hands gripped tight on his knees. Sarah Chen's voice was gentle. "Lily, can you tell me about the basement?" Lily held her music box in her lap. Her fingers traced the painted bluebird. "It's cold. There's a cot and a bucket. The door locks from outside." "How often did you sleep there?" "Every night, unless there was company. Then I slept in the real bedroom, so it looked normal." "What about food?" "Aunt Dana locked the refrigerator and the pantry. If I ate without permission, she wrote it in a book. She said I was stealing." "Did she ever hurt you?" Lily's hand tightened on the music box. "Not where people could see." "Where did she hurt you?" "My ribs, my back, under my arms." "What happened on the night you ran away?" Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. "She was on the phone. I heard her through the vent. She said after my birthday she was done pretending. She said the trust clears and she could stop playing house." Lily looked directly at the camera. She laughed, like it was funny. "What did you do?" "I took the recorder from her desk. I pressed the button. Then I waited until she was asleep and I ran." "Where did you go?" "I didn't know. I just went toward the lights. Mama always said go toward the lights." "What happened when you got to the travel plaza?" Lily's eyes filled. "I asked people for help. A lady, a truck driver, a security guard, a man with a church hat. Nobody helped. They all had reasons. Then I got too cold to keep asking, so I sat behind the dumpster and waited." "Waited for what?" "I don't know. I thought maybe I would die. I thought nobody would even notice." "But someone did notice." Lily nodded slowly. "Stone. He found me. He didn't drive away. He didn't tell me to go home. He picked me up and he carried me inside and he stayed." "How did that make you feel?" Lily's tears fell. "Like maybe Mama was right. Maybe if you keep going toward the lights, eventually someone sees you." The courtroom was silent. Sarah Chen turned to the jury. No further questions. Kessler's cross-examination was brief. He tried to suggest Lily was confused, traumatized, prone to exaggeration. Lily's answer was simple. "I know what happened to me. I was there." The jury deliberated for 2 hours and 14 minutes. Stone sat in the gallery with Preacher and Compass. None of them spoke. They just waited. When the jury returned, the foreperson stood. "On the charge of felony child abuse in the 1st degree, how do you find guilty? On the charge of unlawful imprisonment, guilty. On the charge of theft by deception, guilty. On the charge of insurance fraud related to the death of Emma Cortez, guilty." Dana Welch sat motionless as each verdict landed like a hammer blow. Her mask was gone. What remained was something hollow and small. Judge Moreau scheduled sentencing for the following week. When Dana stood before her for the final time, she tried one last manipulation. "Your Honor, I made mistakes. I was overwhelmed. Raising an orphan alone is harder than anyone knows. I loved Lily. I did my best." Judge Moreau looked at her without expression. "Ms. Welch, you systematically starved, imprisoned, and abused a 6-year-old child who had already lost both parents. You stole $287,000 from her inheritance. You locked her in a basement and counted her food like she was livestock. And evidence suggests this was not your first victim." She paused. "You didn't love Lily Parker. You exploited her. You monetized her trauma. You treated her as a resource to be depleted rather than a child to be protected." Dana's composure cracked. "I gave her everything. You gave her a bucket in a basement and called it home." The judge opened the sentencing folder. "Dana Welch, I sentence you to 22 years in state prison. You will not be eligible for parole for 12 years. You are ordered to make full restitution of all funds stolen from Lily Parker's trust. Your guardianship rights are permanently terminated. A no-contact order will remain in effect for the duration of your sentence and beyond." Dana's face went white. 22 years. You had 2 children in your care. One is dead. One nearly died. 22 years is mercy you don't deserve. The bailiff led Dana away. Stone watched her go. There was no satisfaction in it, no triumph, just a cold, tired relief that this particular monster was finally caged. Outside the courthouse, the sun was setting. Preacher stood beside Stone on the steps. "It's done," Stone said. "The trial is done. The healing takes longer." "Where's Lily?" "With her grandmother, Eleanor. She's been there for 2 weeks now. Compass says she's adjusting. Slowly, but adjusting." Stone looked at the sky. "I want to see her. She asked about you. Told Eleanor about the man with the loud jacket who didn't drive away." "What did Eleanor say?" Preacher smiled slightly. "She said she'd like to thank you personally." 2 days later, Stone rode to Missoula. Eleanor Parker lived in a small blue house with a garden that would bloom in spring. Right now the yard was covered in snow, but someone had hung a bird feeder from the porch beam. A bluebird feeder. Stone knocked. The door opened and an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes looked up at him. "You're Stone," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, ma'am." "I'm Eleanor. Please come in." He followed her inside. The house was warm, comfortable. Photographs covered the walls. A young couple at their wedding, a baby in a hospital blanket, a toddler taking first steps, a school picture of a little girl with brown eyes and a gap-toothed smile. "That's my son," Eleanor said, following his gaze. "Lily's father, David." Stone nodded. "I'm sorry for your loss. He was a good man. He would have been a good father. He only had 3 years with her, but he loved her more than anything." Stone heard footsteps on the stairs. Lily appeared. Still small. Still thin. But her cheeks had color now. Her eyes had light. She saw Stone and froze. "You came," she whispered. "I told you I would." Lily crossed the room slowly. She was holding the music box. The bluebird gleamed in the afternoon light. "I wasn't sure," she said. "People say things and then they don't come." "I know, but I meant what I said." Lily looked at the music box, then at Stone. "The needle works now. Compass fixed it. It plays the whole song. Can I hear it?" Lily wound the key and let it go. The tiny mechanism spun, and the melody filled the room. "You are my sunshine," Sweet and clear. Lily watched the bluebird turn. Mama was right, she said softly. Spring always comes. Stone crouched down to her level. How are you, Lily? Really, she thought about it. I still have bad dreams sometimes. I still check the doors. But Grandma doesn't lock them. She says this house is for keeping people in, not keeping them out. Eleanor put her hand on Lily's shoulder. She's brave, Eleanor said. Braver than she knows. Lily looked at Stone with those ancient, wounded, healing eyes. Thank you, she said, for stopping, for not driving away, for bringing the loud people. Stone felt his throat tighten. You're welcome. Will you come back? As often as you want. Lily nodded slowly. I'd like that. She turned and walked back toward the stairs, then paused. Stone. Yeah, the bluebird found spring, just like Mama said. She disappeared upstairs, still holding the music box. Eleanor watched her go, then turned to Stone. I tried for 14 months to reach her. Dana's lawyers blocked everything. They said Lily didn't want contact. They said she was adjusting. They made me believe my own granddaughter didn't want to know me. Her voice broke. She didn't even know I existed. Dana never told her. 14 months. Alone. Thinking she had no one. Stone didn't have words for that. There were no words. She has you now, he finally said. That's what matters. Eleanor wiped her eyes. I want you to know something. What you did. What your club did. It matters, not just for Lily. For everyone who hears this story. For every person who thinks they can't make a difference. She took his hand. You made a difference. 180 of you made a difference. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure Lily knows she was worth saving. Stone squeezed her hand gently. She always was. She just needed someone to see it. He left the house as the sun was setting. Behind him, in a warm room with photographs on the walls and a bluebird feeder on the porch, a 6-year-old girl wound her music box and listened to the melody her mother had given her. The song played on. Spring was coming. 6 months passed. Spring came to Montana the way it always did, slow and stubborn fighting for every degree against the lingering cold. Snow melted into mud. Mud dried into earth. And somewhere beneath the surface, things that had been dormant began to stir. Lily Parker turned 7 on January 14th, the date that had been circled in red on Dana Welch's calendar. The date marked final. The date that was supposed to end one story now began another. Eleanor woke her with pancakes. Not just any pancakes. Blueberry pancakes shaped like birds with whipped cream clouds and syrup drizzled in careful lines. Lily stared at the plate. You made these for me. It's your birthday. Of course I did. But it's so much food. Eleanor's heart cracked a little. 7 years old and still surprised by abundance. Still measuring meals against an invisible ledger that had been etched into her brain by starvation. You can eat as much as you want, Eleanor said gently. Today and every day. There's always more. Lily picked up her fork slowly. Aunt Dana said food costs money. She said I ate too much. Aunt Dana was wrong about a lot of things. Lily took a bite. Then another. Then her eyes filled with tears. It's good, she whispered. It's really good. I'm glad, sweetheart. Lily ate 3 pancakes. Then she asked for a 4th. Eleanor made it without hesitation. The nightmares still came sometimes. Lily would wake up gasping, convinced she was back in the basement, convinced the door was locked. Convinced no one was coming, Eleanor learned the routine. She didn't rush in with comfort. She let Lily orient herself first. Let her see the nightlight in the shape of a bluebird that Eleanor had bought specifically for this purpose. Let her feel the soft blankets so different from the thin covering in that concrete room. Then Eleanor would sit on the floor beside the bed and wait. "I'm here," she would say. "When you're ready." Sometimes Lily reached for her immediately. Sometimes it took minutes. But always eventually her small hand would find Eleanor's weathered one, and they would sit together until the fear faded. The therapist said this was progress. The therapist said trauma didn't heal in straight lines. The therapist said there would be setbacks and breakthroughs and everything in between. Lily had a name for the bad nights. Basement days, she called them. "Today feels like a basement day," she would tell Eleanor over breakfast. And Eleanor would adjust. Quieter activities, more space, extra patience. But the basement days came less often now. The spring days were winning. Stone visited every 2 weeks. He would pull up on his Harley, the engine rumbling through the quiet neighborhood, and Lily would run to the window to watch him park. "He came back," she would say. Every time. Like she still couldn't quite believe it. "He always comes back," Eleanor would remind her. "That's what good people do." Stone brought small things. Books about motorcycles. A stuffed bear wearing a tiny leather jacket. A photo album he had assembled with pictures from the hospital, the courthouse, the brothers who had stood watch through those long hours. "So you remember," he told her, "when you're older. So you know how many people fought for you." Lily studied the photographs with serious eyes. "That's Preacher," she said, pointing. "He was in charge." "That's right." "And Compass. He sat with me when I was scared." "He did." "And Shield. He found the papers about Emma." Stone's throat tightened. "You remember all of them." "I remember everyone who helped me." Lily looked up at him. "I remember everyone who didn't, too." There was no anger in her voice, just fact. The clear-eyed observation of a child who had learned too young that the world was full of both kinds of people. "The ones who didn't help," Stone said carefully. "Some of them feel really bad about it now." "I know. I saw them at the trial. Tyler was crying." "How did that make you feel?" Lily thought about it. "Sad. For him. He has to remember forever that he didn't help. That's a heavy thing to carry." Stone stared at her. "You're too wise for 7. Grandma says I'm an old soul. She says some kids are born knowing things that take other people a whole life to learn." "Your grandma is right." Lily reached over and took his hand. "Stone, yeah. Do you have heavy things you carry?" He didn't answer immediately. The question hit too close to something he had kept locked away for 12 years. "Yes," he finally said. "I do." "What are they?" Stone looked at her. At this small, fierce survivor who had walked through fire and come out asking questions about other people's pain. "I had a daughter," he said quietly. "A long time ago. She was killed by a drunk driver." Lily's eyes widened. "I'm sorry." "Me too." "What was her name?" "Sarah." "That's a pretty name." "She was a pretty girl. Kind, funny. She wanted to be a veterinarian." Lily squeezed his hand. "You miss her?" "Every day." "Is that why you stopped for me at the travel plaza, because you were thinking about her?" Stone felt the tears come before he could stop them. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe. Or maybe I just saw a little girl who needed help and I couldn't drive away. I think Sarah would have wanted me to stop." Lily nodded slowly. "I think so too." She didn't say anything else. She just held his hand and let him sit with his grief the way Eleanor sat with her on basement days. 7 years old. An old soul indeed. The Blue Ridge Travel Plaza changed after that night. The company installed a heated alcove near the entrance, a bench with blankets, a sign in plain language, "If you need help, ask, no questions first." Tyler Nash stayed. He could have transferred. He could have quit. But he stayed. "This is where I failed," he told his manager. "This is where I make it right." He became the unofficial advocate for anyone who walked in looking lost. Runaways, domestic violence survivors, kids who had slipped through cracks in a broken system. He kept a list of resources behind the counter: shelters, hotlines, organizations that helped without judgment. Once a truck driver brought in a teenage girl he'd found walking along the highway. Thin, scared, running from something she wouldn't name. Tyler recognized the look in her eyes. "You're safe here," he told her. "I promise, nobody's going to send you back anywhere." The girl stared at him. "Why do you care?" Tyler thought about Lily. About blue lips and a garbage bag coat, and a question asked too many times to people who had answers they didn't want to give. "Because someone should," he said. "And this time, I'm that someone." The girl started crying. Tyler called the resources, got her to a shelter, followed up a week later to make sure she was okay. She was. One kid at a time. One moment of choice at a time. That was how the world changed. Montana passed new legislation in April. Lily's Law, they called it, sponsored by a state senator who had read about the case and couldn't sleep for a week afterward. The law required mandatory home visits before any child could be withdrawn for home school. It required independent interviews with the child away from guardians. It required follow-up within 30 days and ongoing check-ins every 6 months. It wasn't perfect. No law was. But it was something. A door that couldn't be locked from the outside anymore. The Hells Angels chapter established something called Guardian Watch. Anonymous tip line. Rapid response network. Brothers who volunteered to be background checked, trained, and ready to stand witness when children were in danger. SHIELD coordinated it. Compass trained the volunteers. Preacher spoke at community meetings explaining what they did and why. "We're not vigilantes," he told the crowds. "We're not trying to replace the system. We're trying to fill the gaps. When a child needs protection and the system is moving too slow, we show up. We watch. We document. We make sure nobody can claim they didn't see." The first year they responded to 23 calls, 14 kids connected with services, 4 emergency interventions, 2 prosecutions. Stone couldn't be part of the official program. His involvement in Lily's case made him too visible. But he donated. He spread the word. He made sure every brother knew that protecting kids wasn't optional, it was the mission. The Emma Cortez case was reopened in May. SHIELD worked with the state investigators. Ledger traced financial records that should have been examined 3 years earlier. New witnesses came forward. People who had seen things, suspected things, but hadn't known where to report or hadn't believed their voices mattered. The original medical examiner was investigated for negligence. She had closed the case too fast, signed off on accidental drowning without asking obvious questions. The new examination found evidence of prior injuries, healed fractures, signs of malnutrition, the same pattern that had appeared in Lily. Dana Welch was charged with second-degree murder. She would face a new trial, new evidence, new witnesses, and this time there would be no smiles convincing enough to make it go away. Emma's grandmother, who had fought for years to get someone to listen, finally heard the words she had been waiting for. "We believe you. We're sorry it took so long." She cried for 3 hours. Then she started advocating, speaking at schools, meeting with legislators, telling Emma's story so that other children wouldn't share Emma's fate. One grandmother, one voice, joining a chorus that kept growing. On the anniversary of the night Stone found Lily, he rode to a cemetery outside Helena. Sarah's grave sat beneath an oak tree that was just beginning to bud. 12 years of seasons had passed over that small rectangle of earth. 12 years of grief that Stone had carried like stones in his pockets. He knelt beside the headstone and placed something on the grass. A small porcelain bluebird, the kind that spun on music boxes. He had found it in an antique shop and bought it without knowing why. Now he knew. "I couldn't save you," he said quietly. "I've spent 12 years trying to accept that, trying to live with it. Some days I manage. Some days I don't." He touched the cold stone. "But I saved one Sarah, a little girl. She was freezing behind a dumpster and I stopped. I didn't drive away. I didn't tell myself someone else would handle it. I stopped." His voice broke. "She's okay now. She has a grandmother who loves her. She's starting to believe that the world isn't all dark corners and locked doors. She's learning that people can be good, that help can come." He wiped his eyes. "I think you would have liked her. She's brave, so brave, braver than she knows. And she has this music box with a bluebird on it. Her mama gave it to her. It plays 'You Are My Sunshine,' just like you used to sing when you were small." Stone sat back on his heels. "I'm not okay. I don't know if I'll ever be okay. But I'm trying. And I think you'd want me to keep trying. I think you'd want me to stop for every Lily I find, even if it hurts, even if it breaks me open every time." He stood slowly. "I love you, baby girl. I'll see you when I see you. But not yet. There's still work to do." He walked back to his bike and rode toward Missoula, toward Lily, toward spring. Lily's 7th birthday party was small and perfect. Eleanor's living room. Streamers in blue and yellow. A cake shaped like a bluebird with 7 candles arranged in a careful circle. Stone arrived first, then preacher, then compass, then shield and ledger and patch. Lily watched them file in with wide eyes. "You all came?" she said. "Try to keep us away," Compass replied. She hugged each of them, small arms wrapping around leather jackets and finding warmth underneath. Rachel Okonkwo came too, the social worker who had filed the protective hold, who had fought the paperwork battles that kept Lily safe. "I wanted to see you," Rachel told Lily, "to see how you're doing." "I'm doing good," Lily said. "Better than good. Grandma makes pancakes." Rachel smiled. "That sounds wonderful." "She never locks the refrigerator, or the pantry, or any doors. She says locks are for keeping bad things out, not good things in." Rachel blinked back tears. "Your grandma is very wise." "I know. I'm lucky." "You're not lucky, Lily. You're strong. You survived. That's not luck. That's courage." Lily thought about this. Maybe it's both, she decided. Courage to keep going, and luck that Stone stopped. She looked at Stone across the room. "He says he stopped because someone should. But I think it's more than that. I think he stopped because he's one of the good ones. And the good ones always stop." The candles flickered on the bluebird cake. "Make a wish," Eleanor said. Lily closed her eyes. Her lips moved silently. Then she blew. All 7 candles went out in a single breath. "What did you wish for?" Compass asked. Lily opened her eyes. "I wished that no kid has to look for help in the cold anymore." The room went quiet. Stone crouched down to her level. "That's a big wish." Lily met his eyes. "Then I'll need big help, like 180 motorcycles worth." Stone felt his heart crack and mend at the same time. "I think that can be arranged." 2 weeks later, Lily started 2nd grade. New school, new teacher, new classmates who didn't know her story unless she chose to tell them. On the first day, the teacher asked the students to share something important about themselves, a show and tell of souls. Lily stood up slowly. She was holding her music box. The bluebird gleamed under the fluorescent lights. "My name is Lily," she said. "I'm 7. I live with my grandma now." She paused. "Last winter I was lost. Really lost. I was cold and hungry and scared, and I didn't think anyone was coming. I asked people for help. A lot of people. Most of them said no. They were busy or scared, or they told themselves someone else would help." The classroom was silent. But then someone stopped, a man on a motorcycle. He didn't know me. He didn't have to help. But he did. He picked me up and he carried me somewhere warm, and he stayed until I was safe. Lily held up the music box. "My mama gave me this before she died. She said the bluebird always finds spring. I didn't believe her for a long time. I thought spring wasn't real. I thought the cold would last forever." She wound the key and let it go. The melody filled the room. "You are my sunshine." Sweet and clear. But Mama was right. Spring came. It just took a while. And now I'm here. And I'm okay. And I want everyone to know that if you're ever lost, keep looking for the lights. Don't give up. Because sometimes help comes from places you never expected. And sometimes the people who save you are the ones who weren't supposed to be there at all. She sat down. The teacher had tears streaming down her face. A boy in the front row raised his hand. "Lily, yeah. That was really brave, telling us all that." Lily smiled. "Brave people are always scared. They just do the hard thing anyway." She set the music box on her desk and let it play. The bluebird spun in slow circles, catching the light. Spring had come. If you're listening to this story and thinking it's about motorcycles and leather jackets and roaring engines, it's not. It's about a 6-year-old girl who did an impossible thing. She walked toward the lights when every instinct told her the world would keep saying no. She asked for help again and again, and when help finally came, she grabbed it with both hands and refused to let go. It's about how easy it is for good people to look away. A window rolled up, a door closed, a report filed and forgotten. A voice that whispered, "Someone else will handle it," because handling it yourself felt like too much. It's about what happens when someone decides that looking away is not an option. Not with fists, not with violence, with presence, with paper, with patience, with proof. You don't need 180 motorcycles to change a child's life. You need to notice. You need to ask the second question. You need to call again when the first call goes nowhere. If a kid hesitates before answering a simple question, pay attention. If an adult's story sounds too polished, ask for the messy details. If someone smiles too easily while a child goes quiet, trust your gut. Invisible children are not invisible because they don't matter. They're invisible because people get used to looking away. Don't get used to it. Subscribe if you believe no child should have to earn safety. Comment, "I see you," and tell me who was the person who noticed you when you felt invisible. Or who do you wish had? Share this with a teacher, a neighbor, a friend who works with kids. Because right now, somewhere in this world, another Lily is standing in the cold, asking for help, waiting for someone to stop. The first hardest thing is being that child. The second hardest is stopping your comfortable life to help. Be the person who stops. Be the bluebird who finds them. Don't look away.